Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh no, now I'm gonna be. Okay, now can you hear me? Okay, now I just have to, I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you for some reason. I just canceled out of the chat on, can't hear you and I can't see myself. Being a millennial, I'm really awful at this kind of thing.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Ooh, okay, so I'm going to go off of these. Hopefully everybody can hear us. We've got folks joining. There's one on the phone, so I'm going to try to kind of moderate here. And I also have the Q&A going. So what I'm going to do is start this off. Welcome everybody to the very first. We're going to give this a couple minutes. I'm just going to do some kind of welcome rules. Welcome to our very first webinar. This is, I'm sure you've been on a lot of Zoom calls lately. If you're anything like me, welcome to the new life, right? And this is for Women at Work Trade Circles. So something that we had planned on having in person a little more often. So what we started at the Goodwill Construction Skills Training Center last month with the Women at Work Trade Expo, as well as our very first panel 2 months ago, was supposed to continue in person, and thanks to COVID-19 and coronavirus, it's okay. We're working around it, right? Everyone's got a new normal. So what we're doing is doing more web-based content creation and things like Zoom calls. So Maddie was nice enough for us to jump on and help us navigate this new world in construction. I've got all kinds of resources that are being thrown at me from different companies who are saying that they're still hiring, especially with essential services, Lowe's being one of them. And I will go over those two today. So I thought I might start with that, with a couple of resources that are available for folks. Either if you are an employer, get with me about that, and we can start broadcasting over the She Built This City on our LinkedIn page, as well as on our brand new Facebook page that is called Women at Work Opportunity Board. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Let's see here. You don't want that. I have a ton of windows open on my screen at the moment. Show all windows. I want to show you our Facebook page. If I can't, I'm going to send it to you. Yeah, it's not letting me go to the internet. It's wanting to show everything else, but so if you cannot find, what I'll do is send out an email link after this, but essentially what it is literally, if you went into Facebook and you just did a search for Women at Work Opportunity Board, that is just our jobs and or anyone wants to post on saying, hey, my company is hiring here, or my company is, or I'm looking for a job, or I know someone who's looking, etc., to go into any specific industry. So use that as a resource. That is literally there for our community. That is not something that we're trying to capitalize on in any other way, minus really getting women hired. But we understand right now that this is something that's affecting all families and all individuals. So we're not trying to be completely gender specific. So if it is men looking, we are happy for people to be working. So there's tons of companies, again, in the Carolinas, especially since we are classed as essential services in residential and commercial home building. I know that Metrolina Greenhouses was looking for 300 workers, and that's at all levels. So that's not just general laborer, that's in the office as well. They are working from home, but they are hiring at all levels. Lowe's is another one that is hiring, I think it's 30,000 employees, short-term and long-term employees with benefits. And again, they've taken a lot of protective measures. They're a partner of ours at She Built This City. And excuse me, I've got like allergy stuff going on in my throat. They have taken a lot of protective measures in the last week or so for social distancing if people are working in the actual stores. So they are doing a great job there. I know that other retail is the same. So this is more into the manufacturing side, but again, if it gets people working between Dollar General, Shipt, CDL drivers are absolutely a must-have right now. I think that's probably a Captain Obvious statement to a lot of us that have been hiring for a while. But people getting their CDL licenses licenses. It's getting easier for CDLB, and CDL A and B are just absolutely, I mean, those people can pretty much name their price from an hourly wage perspective. And I'm sure, Maddie, you can probably speak to that, but we have plenty of companies who are looking, and that's where I want to, for She Built the City, the women's piece of it, if you know us at all, we have 3 components to how we service the community in terms of being a nonprofit. It is our sole goal to see more women in the workplace in construction and manufacturing. With COVID-19, we want to see people working in general, but so we service 3 different populations. There's 9 to 12-year-old girls in the Explorer camps, and Explorer Girls, which we have now taken virtual and online with Facebook Lives and YouTube content. Same thing with our Builder Girls Club, which is 12 to 14-year-olds in middle school. They have all gone online as well with curated content and a lot of Zoom camps, Facebook Lives, YouTube content, and we have a couple of virtual pop-ups coming up. So 3D printing's coming up next week. For the women, again, it's Women at Work Trade Circle and Women at Work Trade Expo, which is twice a year. So mark your calendars for September 17th, which is our second Trade Expo. And for right now, we're going to be doing these webinars and having the Facebook page to share job opportunities to get them connected. So without further ado, I want to get to you, Maddie, because explain who you are and what you do for the construction community in terms of staffing.
Absolutely. Demi, thank you so much for having me on. I manage and own a construction staffing company here in Charlotte. And what QLM does, we're QLM, Quality Labor Management. And what we predominantly do is staff for skilled trade positions in the industry, mostly on the commercial and industrial side. So we're hiring your electricians, plumbers, mechanics, carpenters, everything to heavy equipment operators, and down to skilled helpers, and then all the way up to project managers, superintendents, all throughout construction. So this has obviously impacted everyone quite a bit. We're still all deemed essential work. However, we do have quite a few job sites that now have cut back on people. People have scaled down in size on different job sites. People have started putting in preventative measures on all of our sites where people are getting temperatures taken prior to walking onto site and making sure that everyone's okay. Even if someone has a mild temperature, they're sent home for the day. So we've seen a lot of different changes come as COVID-19 has ramped up in the area, and as we're continuing to see changes as people are taking more precautionary steps to keep their people on site safe, which means cutting back on jobs on site. So for us, obviously, we've moved our onboarding process to completely online, which has been great for us. Everyone who's coming in, we're doing rather than in-person interviews, over the phone interviews, doing Skype and Zoom. And we have also transitioned a lot of our current recruiting efforts to putting people to jobs that they're not usually doing. Right now, we're trying to cater to the industry. Our electricians, we had 17 electricians laid off of specific projects because the job site itself was cut down to 10 people max. We're transitioning those people into jobs like servicing warehouses and stocking shelves right now for goods that are in high demand. We've also partnered with job sites that are shut down right now. People are doing security jobs while these job sites are shut down. People need to make sure that the job site trailers are being held up at night and during the weekends, and also that nothing's being taken off of site. So people have been transitioning from these skilled trade positions to doing safety and doing other jobs that are of need right now. So we're trying to cater to the industry right now, getting our people who need to be at work, but people have been flexible and realizing that right now, different jobs are of a high need. We actually just partnered with a cleaning company out of Central Florida, which is where QLM is located. And we're going to be starting to do cleaning in large warehouse facilities. We've reached out to a couple of the police stations here in Charlotte, places that need to get cleaned quickly, who are still working, people who are still coming in and out of office. We're going to start doing that type of work as well. Just trying to keep people busy and working and utilizing all the people that we have in the best way possible during this time. So that's a little bit about us and how we've been trying to cater to this new change in work as COVID-19 has kind of continued on and progressed in Charlotte.
So what are you seeing? Thank you for that. What are you seeing in terms of, I know I heard pivoting. So people taking different roles or cross-functional training into other positions that are working. And I'm noticing that I just read an article about airlines that are now transitioning their workforce into healthcare, direct healthcare jobs that are more ground level, more entry level, that go through 3 to 5 day training courses. So would you say that you're doing the same in helping people find work in construction?
Absolutely. Like I said, we had quite a few electricians that were laid off recently, and we've spoken with them, and obviously no one wants to go on to unemployment. The goal is to keep everyone working right now. And we've been fortunate enough to partner with some of our other clients that are on those job sites that needed security personnel. We've transitioned them into those roles. And with the cleaning jobs, people are more than willing to go to work and work at a different rate right now just to keep working and keep busy. Everyone has been very flexible and thankful that they are having additional opportunities outside of even their usual role as, an electrician or whatever skilled trade that they're usually working in. And some of our guys have even commented that they're enjoying learning new things along the way. I know that for some of the cleaning jobs that we are starting to implement here in Charlotte, there's sprayer positions. We have people that are going through and having to apply these different chemicals that we're using. The new chemicals that we're going to start bringing into Charlotte has a base disinfectant that kills the virus on contact, and then we're using sprayers to put an additional substance down that holds for 30 days and keeps this barrier that's going to be able to prevent from the virus spreading. And the guys feel like they're really making an impact in the community and helping by doing these jobs. So it's exciting for us that we're connecting them with jobs that are not necessarily as fulfilling as doing their usual work, but everyone feels like they're playing a part in helping with what's going on right now.
Right. So I'm reading some of Sherry's piece. So Sherry with Charlotte Water is on, and reading your comment on, we're having a hiring freeze. None of our employees are being let go, but their schedules have been dramatically changed. So Sherry, hold that thought, because I want to see how you all are doing more on the municipal side. But Maddie, for you, for people who, and again, I know Lowe's is taking on short-term employees, saying, hey, you can stay with us, but if you're being furloughed right now, or if you're being temporarily laid off in the retail sector, in the restaurant sector, we can put you to work, to what you're saying, of staying working rather than pulling the unemployment, which many people just don't want to do. Understandably, they want to be providing for their family safely as possible. So is that something that you're seeing with specific placements, or is there something that you would recommend for people who are saying, listen, I need something to make it work now, and I'm exploring construction to do that? Is there any advice you would give them in terms of what positions to be looking at or just staying open?
I think, like you said before, there are some opportunities right now that are unique, that are the lower entry positions that we need people working in right now. The cleaning positions, people who are working security on these job sites, who are even just staying there for the day and saying, we're not taking applications right now, just to monitor how many people are going on and off of site. Lower end positions to where it doesn't require a ton of training, but they're very necessary to keep people safe right now. And so for those people who don't necessarily have a ton of experience in the industry, I think these are still great positions to come out and apply for. We're very fortunate, and we've reached out to all of our clients. As a staffing company, it makes sense for these jobs that are going to be short-term, as short-term as possible, we all hope. Obviously, as soon as this virus is cleared out for us, these jobs are going to go away, but people aren't wanting to bring people onto their payroll and then take them off and put them on unemployment if these are these short-term positions, which is where we've been trying to help our clients in any way possible and bring on those positions through us and have them work through us for that duration of time. But
thank you. Okay, so with that too, again, in residential versus commercial, it's going to be a little different in construction. To keep it on the construction piece versus manufacturing, the manufacturers are hiring like crazy. Again, it's more to the point of moving things across the country or through the Carolinas to and from, right? So you're looking at the Amazons, the Dollar Generals, again, the CDL jobs it's almost a name your price. What used to be a $17 an hour job has just gone to about a $25 an hour job, and you can name where you want to go. So something that may not have been the most in demand from a job seeker standpoint is actually a very quick course to go through, and we have some resources on that. And then full benefits. So Maddie, my last question for you on that before we kind of push it into the folks on the call is, are you seeing a lot of full benefits no matter what the position is? I certainly am. Again, going back to those retailers who are hiring.
I am as well. And actually, obviously, we've been trying to reach out to every venue possible, and some people are still continuing to hire in-house. I stopped by the Amazon distribution center here in Charlotte the other day, and they had 3 rooms full of 50 people each, hiring on, bringing as many people on as possible to stock and get these high demand items out as quickly as possible. I know Publix is hiring nonstop right now, grocery stores that need people stocking at odd hours. And I know that for certain that Publix is bringing on employees and giving them those full benefits. So there's a lot of different opportunities for people right now.
Great. Are you seeing any needs for specific training? I know I was talking to a female-run plumbing firm the other day who's still very much in demand, and I think everyone's pivoting, right? You know, I had a Terminix person come to my house today. We were scheduled for service. He was like, "I can't come into your house, but we need to spray today. Is that okay?" And so we're like nodding through the windows. So I know every company is pivoting to make sure that it's a safe environment, but from the trade standpoint, again, from residential versus commercial, I know that the builders have been allowed through, meaning the residential builders are allowed to have construction happening that's in new construction. So it's not necessarily, you're not going through a remodel situation. So we still have some electricians looking for subcontractor help. We still have some flooring contractors, et cetera. So I'm not sure if you're seeing that as well, but you know, we can get resources through the Home Builders Association if anyone's looking for a specific trade that they would like to enter into.
For us, I think the specific skill set that people are looking for, like I said, we've had to transition a lot of our skilled trade specific jobs to things that are focused on COVID-19 right now, to the stocking jobs, to the security jobs, to the cleaning as well. So in those areas, it hasn't been a ton of training. We've been able to look up YouTube videos that are basic safety, you know, slips, trips, and falls, your usual safety orientation that you're going through whenever you go onto a specific job site. And we're giving them that training prior to them coming on site. We have some safety specific videos that we show all of our employees prior to going out. But other than a brief safety orientation, we have not been changing the way that we are taking people on and bringing them on site. And brief, I say brief, it's more in depth depending on the position that you're going into, electricians, lockout, tag out, and all of that. But we have not seen a change in training in that aspect, just because we are catering to those positions that don't require as much training at the moment.
Great. So if someone wanted to come to you to get help in placement, what do they do?
I can actually send you out information for our company website. You can go onto our company website and apply online. I would then reach out to you, send you info for our employee portal where we could do the entire application online. We'd have a face-to-face interview via phone or computer. And then we would send someone to a drug screening facility to do our drug test. And then we would be able to send you out to site to start.
Great. So does anyone have, is there any voluntary opt-outs or things that you shouldn't even be making the phone call or going to the website if you have X, Y, or Z on a record or on a resume or anything of that nature? Or is it just come as you are, we'll figure it out?
We do a 7-year look back, and we also e-verify every employee that walks in the door. So that is just our employee standard. There are things that we can look at and work through with certain people. We do a 7-year look back.
Okay. Got it. Anything else for this crowd to know in terms of MyQLM or what you're seeing out in the world right now of hiring?
Absolutely. I think we're just very encouraged right now by how flexible some of our clients have been in trying to cater to the situation right now and come up with these positions. Everybody that I've reached out to, they're trying to help in every way that they can. So if you are interested and wanting to come back to work or needing a position, please reach out, because we are working to put people to work as fast as we can get people in the door. So I really appreciate you letting me come on today and taking the time to speak. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I guess from a wage standpoint, what is average hourly, or if there is a salary involved? But I'm thinking this is more hourly based on some of the companies that you were saying.
Absolutely. We try not to go any lower than $13 an hour per person, because people can't live off of less than that. So I know we're higher than most. We will not pay minimum wage for our workers. And right now, with the high demand, people are willing to pay more for people working. And we try to cater to our employees as much as we cater to our clients.
Great. Okay, so if you have a question and you are on the Zoom, or if you are on the phone, I'm trying to figure that out. But if you're on the Zoom piece of it and can put in the webinar chat, just put your question in for anyone. So for myself, for Maddie, I see, looks like for Sherry. Oh, great question. What does the business industry look like now regarding businesses still interested in coming to Charlotte? I know things are hugely on pause, but are there any that are still willing to make this their hub? I can certainly take that. In terms of the companies that I'm talking to in the Regional Business Alliance, companies are coming to Charlotte like crazy. We are a number 9 top 10 city in the country for permits right now from residential. Commercial construction, we haven't finished a job on time in the last 4 years because we are so far ahead in terms of production. So that's not necessarily a negative. It means the labor isn't always there to be able to service what's going up out of the ground, going vertical. And I want Maddie to talk to this too, because I know she's staffing a lot of those jobs. But in terms of companies coming literally tomorrow, if it's a contract that's already in service, meaning it's gone through the municipality, it's gone through the city, or it's gone through the Regional Business Alliance, they're coming in the next 6 months. They're not going to put the kibosh on something like that. So a new building by Bank of America, or a new building by, let's just say a bank. I'll try to keep it generic. There's a lot of construction going on in both residential construction and in commercial. And the industries that are coming are, from what I know, with She Built the City, we are going into the tech sector as trades are going towards the tech piece of it. And on the south side of the city, it's heavy manufacturing in Rock Hill. So if you're interested on the south side, jobsinrockhill.gov, I believe, they're on a heavy hiring, because there's so many manufacturers that are coming to the Rock Hill and York County sector, which is still in the 14 County Regional Alliance of Charlotte. We have the 14 counties. I think it amasses between maybe a 2-hour drive from north to south, so all the way up to Stanley County, all the way down to Chester County, which is almost Columbia. I live on the South Carolina side, so that's kind of my backyard here. But because of the Panthers facility, the training facility going south, 3D printing has a major hub of technology in Rock Hill, as well as manufacturers that are coming to service that industry. So there's tons of jobs that are still happening, that those are recession proof. And so I don't necessarily call those COVID proof. This is an unknown. You know, we've never dealt with this in our economy now in the last 20 years. So 9/11 was different. The financial crisis of 2008 for home building was different. This is a new normal, like everyone's saying. So I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know that manufacturing, and you can see it playing out in the news right now, of the backbone of America are the very workers that Maddie was talking about. And so whereas, yes, there's some work from home positions in more of the white collar world in terms of tech professionals, some people that used to be in office buildings, the ones who are really helping keep the economy going are our first responders, our frontline workers, manufacturing, and then retail, that is movable goods and services that are usually tangible items that are perishable, such as grocery. So in terms of new businesses coming in, it's heavily construction, banking, insurance industry. And right now with banking, with the way that the loans are going out, the banks are doing just fine. So again, I don't want anybody to go play the stocks after they talk to me on this phone call, but this is not like 2008 financial crisis where the banks were at the heart of it. Right now, the banks are helping to save a lot of people with those SBA loans, et cetera. So the Fed has done a good job with that. I don't know if that helps you in terms of a more generic answer from what I hear based on the companies that I'm talking to, but well, and one more thing with that is we're seeing companies pivot. So if you're out there and you're looking for what's next, like what is the next kind of career direction to go into? I was talking about this just yesterday with people because She Built the City has had to pivot, and we've had to go online quite a bit and do content creation. And content creation is everything. So I don't want to say go and learn all of the tech soft skills and get out of trades or get out of hands-on working, because again, that's the backbone of what's fueling our economy and getting us our goods and services right now. However, you know, with everyone working from home, there's two major things emerging. One is the DIY market, because we're all stuck at home, right? So Lowe's, Home Depot, big box retail, I mean, they're coming under fire, but they're also doing a great job of saying, hey, we're protecting our workers. They're doing what they need to do to get essential items out to the field. But everybody's going to the big box retailers because they're still open, but they are servicing with the Pro Desk and helping the communities. There's also this huge DIY component. So I'm watching a lot of these smaller business trades. So plumbers, electricians, et cetera, remodelers, the Association of General Contractors, what used to be going into homes, now they're trying to pivot and say, how can I help curate content that can be monetized, that can help people do it themselves? And so watch that as an emerging trend. DIY is expected to explode to 600% of what it was last month by 6 months from now. If we're still at home this next quarter, people are having more discretionary income who have kept their jobs, and then they're also able to stare at their walls and they're going insane. And that might be some of us on this phone call too, of like, ugh, that project that was on my personal honey-do list, I'm going to attack it. I'm going to go do it. So that's one. And then content curation in general. So take a Python class on your own. You know, Skillshare has a ton of those. Learn coding, and I say that to trades anyway. That's part of She Built the City, is we marry tech with trade skills that are foundational trade skills. So construction drones are going to be huge. If you've seen anything in this, it's because humans, or what's pushing forward is autonomous vehicles or things without humans. So we're not replacing jobs. We're just, now it's in a conversation of safety. So how do we create the environment that's safer? So drones are now being accepted from FedEx, as opposed to 3 months, 6 months ago, where people were like, I don't want a drone, you know, that's looking at me or whatever. And now, hey, it's a person that doesn't have exposure to you, and it's a drone that can drop a box at your front door. So same thing with DIY and with curbside services, things of that nature. So if you're in a piece of the industry that's looking of like what's going to keep this a job in the next year, look to the content creation, what's digital of it, and then also what can solve the need of these curbside services, because that's what the big box retailers are looking to do to service this demand, which is so high. Maddie, I don't know if you have a take on that.
Business building in Charlotte, I think the past year has been absolutely incredible for us. We have the Deloitte building that we're working on right now. We just finished up on the new Bank of America build. Right next to it, Honeywell's going up. So there's constantly growth going on. The new Lowe's headquarters is being built here in Charlotte right now. I heard the rumor that Krispy Kreme was coming here. So we have a ton of new business coming into Charlotte, and I think it's very exciting. As you drive up South Boulevard, you can see all of the expansion happening as these new retail stores are popping up. We have constantly, every new weekend, a new retail spot or restaurant is opening up here. So I think Charlotte's going to continue to be a hub. I read an article the other day that we're the #2 place for kids to go out of college. I know that's everything's been put on pause quite a bit right now, but we're an incredibly popular place to be. We're continuing to grow. And I think speaking from the construction side of things, it's exciting. We have branches all over the US, and we don't necessarily share team members. It's our business layout is similar to a franchise, but when we have team members who cross into different markets, we have to transfer them from market to market. And we have had, in the past 3 months, we've tripled the amount of people who are coming in from other locations where we're having to transfer them into Charlotte. And people are coming from Texas, from Florida, from all over the United States to come here and work because they know that the work is here, which is a really exciting thing to see. So I think that business development is continuing to grow here in Charlotte, and I don't think that's anything to be worried about moving forward. And I think it's actually a very exciting time to be here and working in this city.
Yeah, and that brings up, I'm so glad you brought that up with some of those locations that you mentioned, because I was talking to two things. So Goodwill right now wanted me to remind everyone that Goodwill Good Works is still very active. You might have seen that Goodwill has had to close their stores for the safety of their employees and for the general public. So their Goodwill facilities are closed. However, all their programming has either shifted virtual. So actually, Goodwill Construction Skills Training Center has an info session next week that is virtual, and then they have already put their construction basics as a virtual class. So you can still sign up if you're interested or know someone who is interested in going into the trades for their 10-week construction basic, or excuse me, 7-week construction basics class, which can link you up to a job in as short as 7 weeks. And right now with employers looking like Maddie's talking about, you could be working and still taking the classes with them online in the evening. So that, and then their Good Works, which is employment counseling as well as services. And then also J.E. Dunn just put out their contract services, because I see Melody, you say my company specializes in janitorial cleaning and final cleaning. I would love to see how we can partner on relief. So this may or may not apply, the example I'm going to give, but I want to get to that one, is the airport. So I know J.E. Dunn just put out a huge contract to say, hey, RFP, if you're interested in doing the extension, it's I think a $200 million contract with the airport. And Goodwill was talking about it last week as well. The airport is just crying for employees. I know that might not be right now in terms of, it's not baggage claim and it's not people moving. I think it went from 2.5 million travelers this week to 200,000 travelers, I heard on the Today Show this morning. So air travel is stopped, but the airport construction has not stopped. They were absolutely desperate for laborers, and also site superintendents, not just general laborers we're talking about, and companies to do RFPs at the airport. So I can connect you up with Goodwill, or we can connect you up directly with the airport if you are a commercial firm that is looking for an RFP, or if you are looking to connect someone up for a job at Airport Services, because they're going to continue with that construction. That is not stopping. As to Melody, for you, so I'm just going to let you speak on this one. So I'm going to do the allow to talk. Is this, when you say janitorial cleaning and final clean, a final clean to me is residential construction. So what is that for you? I think you're on mute.
Okay, there we go.
There you
go. So yes, there may be a bit of an echo. Can you hear me now?
I'm muted, so you should be okay. Maddie, are you muted? I'm not sure, unless you have it on two things, if you're on a phone and your computer.
I'm sorry, can you hear me? Is that?
That was perfect, now go for it.
Okay, all right, perfect. So yes, as far as the janitorial cleaning, we do partner with a few companies at the airport in Florida, actually, where we provide janitorial cleaning. Some of the companies have cut back, rental car companies, due to their lack of customers, but we are definitely ACDBE certified here in North Carolina, so we are able to do business on the airport. But yes, going back to your question, yes, final clean would be more so construction, house cleaning, but again, we are janitorial, a cleaning company. We do work for a company, a city down in West Palm Beach County, where we provide cleaning for their vehicles. So yes, we are definitely in the janitorial realm, so we can provide any help that's needed.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm multitasking because Diana was asking for the Goodwill link on the call. So, and you might want to link up with Maddie because she might be able to help place you all in some different spots. But it seems like that is a job to have right now.
Yes, we've actually been in business since 2004, and we hold several contracts with larger companies. So yes, I would definitely like to link up with whomever we need to so we can be of assistance.
And I will post on LinkedIn and tag Demi after this, just so you can have our company's website as well as our actual hyperlink that I can send where people can apply online. So
perfect. And
thank you.
I'll get you our information as well. Thank
you. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I just posted, I think I did. Did I post that? No, I didn't hit enter. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just posted Goodwill's link. It's under there, looking for work. There's about 10 different resources. And if you don't find what you need, I can make some introductions for you inside the system of Goodwill to find exactly what is a specific. So I'm going to put my email on here too, because I am always happy to help, especially women getting employed. And again, there are a lot of opportunities right now. Sometimes it's a little tougher to look, and everyone is figuring out their policies. I think, again, in this new normal, in terms of running a company and having the CARES Act come down, and I think it's, Maddie, help me if I'm getting this wrong, the FFCRA with FMLA leave that's new, and just really navigating a lot of new stuff and trying to take care of people, but do it best in terms of company financials as well. There's kind of there's a bell curve on that. But in terms of protecting employees, right? So all of these companies who are hiring, I've seen that I have connections with, especially at Lowe's, is very, very diligent about culture, and they're very, very diligent about connecting with the community and then making sure that their employees are safe and healthy. So despite what any of these, I think everyone's coming under fire who is pushing out goods and services from all these grocery stores to Dollar Generals to big box retail, et cetera, because they are being exposed, but necessarily they're also taking into account getting the masks and things of that nature, because it's not like people are just doing this because they want to, it's because we have to get goods and services to the community. So I haven't seen anybody just egregiously, going against their company's people in terms of safety. So there was something else that I'm forgetting on that, because I just saw another one from construction. Again, on the south side of town, because I just see so much economic development. I was just at something with Rock Hill, and that might be the sticks compared to where you are in town, especially if north of the city, because there's just as much going on in University City. There's light rail that is still moving around in locations in, I know 3rd Ward's about to get another one, and a couple of other locations. So there's a lot of hot spots of construction inside the Beltway of 277 that aren't going away. So what I recommend is, if somebody's looking really in construction, if it's residential construction, I would start at the Home Builders Association of Greater Charlotte, and through that, you can look at the companies who are their member companies, and you can check out builders. If you have any questions there, that's my background, and my backyard was residential construction for 20 years. So builders are still hiring for site superintendents. As far as I know, they are still pipelining. I know True Home still has their builder's bridge that they are advertising, to where they are pipelining in 16-year-old and up in terms of their intern. They have paid interns over the summer and entry-level construction positions. If you know college graduates, I know I spoke to a college group just yesterday, and a lot of those college students were freaking out. They're about to graduate, and they're saying, oh my goodness, how do you go out into a job market like this? I don't know about you all, but I got into the job market in 1999, and it was much not COVID, but it wasn't the best of job markets. So we had to get really creative on how we got our jobs, or taking jobs that were a stepping stone to other jobs. So there's a lot of college kids who are looking too, and I think they're going to be pipelining into that as well. But if you know of a college student, or if you have a son or a daughter who is looking at that, you heard that from Maddie on what you could go into, and those are all great places to start. And a lot of these companies, especially, and I'm sorry, Lowe's is a partner of She Built the City, so I don't want to act like this is a Lowe's commercial, but I talk to them quite a bit about how they pivot, and they are very quick pivoters in terms of servicing the business community, and they are, it's a fast track. So a lot of these companies, I tell that to both individuals who have been in business for, I'm 43 years old, and say if I lost my job, I would be going straight to Lowe's tomorrow, because there's a fast track to certain leadership positions that they're terrific on how they take care of their employees. And a lot of the companies that we just mentioned are doing the same. So I would say, if you or someone you know is looking for that position, or if you have again, college age kid, or even a teenager, I have a teenager that wants a summer job this summer. These are all great benefits. It's unheard of right now what they're throwing at people. I think it was Dollar General that was putting out a $150 signing bonus for stocking, and then $250 for cashiers. So they're back to the signing bonuses. They're doing full benefits in many cases. They're giving part-time people some benefits, which is unheard of. Usually you get 0 benefits at all, plus vacation, et cetera, when they can get it, after I think the kind of mass wave of this kind of subsides. But then there's also a fast track to management. So I encourage the college kids to go into these, what we used to call entry-level jobs, because you're into a great company. And I think that goes back to more of a 50s style America. We got out of that in these great times, right? Of saying you need to start first, especially with some of these tech firms. Repeating the paid intern info for teens. So if they're interested, there's several different residential builders who have paid stipend internships. So D.R. Horton is one. I know you could go to drhorton.com, any of their locations. They have 78 markets across the country. They're one of the largest national home builders in the U.S., very stable company. And you can go to drhorton.com, and they have a careers page and they have an interns page. So their intern section starts, I believe, right after Memorial Day and runs for 10 weeks, and they pay a stipend, very great stipend, and it's usually an onboard to getting into the company once the kids graduate. I think they give jobs to at least 60% of them. That's my former company, so I know. I used to work with the interns, and I love them because many of them came back and came to work for us. True Homes is the same. So True Homes is the one that I mentioned, and they have what's called Builders Bridge. So if you go to truehomesusa.com, and there should be a Builders Bridge link right to the side, and that is, they hire from 16 up. So that could be a high schooler. So a lot of the CTE programs they partner up with, which is careers in technical education, high school students can get a great on-the-job training experience over the summer with a residential builder. So they're building homes. So I do know they're hiring. I saw that on Instagram yesterday, that they are advertising for that this summer. So everyone's super hopeful. Again, residential builders are out in the open. Many are in new construction communities where there are not as many closings. There's not a huge neighborhood of people yet. So again, I don't want to call any environment safer than another, but it is one where it is truly essential services. They are putting up housing, we're desperate for housing in Charlotte, and they will continue to build that housing unless something comes down where we just have to shut down a city altogether. And the same thing that I know of is going, I know Maddie talked about it, where people are coming back and constricting crews. I know that job site inspectors are only doing mornings and they're going in shifts. So they're being protective of people's social distancing, but the work is still happening. So I think there is another question. Goodwill will do their construction training virtually. Oh yeah, so Sherry, I would definitely reach out to Marvin. I just talked to him this morning in terms of how Goodwill will do their construction training virtually. For them, it would be very hard to do any kind of hands-on building. What they're doing is virtual reality. They're doing a lot of the construction. So in terms of the Goodwill program, they have construction basics equals OSHA 10, which anyone could go on. I know Maddie referenced OSHA and safety requirements on a job site. If you were to get a job in construction, you're going to want to have OSHA 10 hours. For anyone who doesn't know that on the call, in the free program at Goodwill, they take you through OSHA 10. That's easily done online. You go through the curriculum, you watch the videos, and then you pass the test for OSHA 10. There's also OSHA 30. Usually area construction superintendents have to pass that if they are in residential or commercial. They also do construction math, which they can take that online. Blueprint reading they can take online. So they've had to pivot just like the school system has had to pivot and put all their curriculum online. Now, physically building the actual she shed or their tiny homes that they build in the facility, they cannot do that. So that is the one component of it they can't do, but everything else is being digital, and they're trying to work out with their CAD lab how you can, again, virtual reality, walk through those homes, those tiny houses, and you can extrude the walls yourself. You can break them down and see what's behind the wall, so behind the wall training. So, you know, in terms of what I could say, and I know that was a question you had earlier with digitalization, how is that being considered in construction moving forward? This is what gets me excited. So I won't take up everybody's time on this. However, this is where construction is going, no matter what. We are going into 3D printing. We're going into an automated world. We are going into drone inspections. And we were doing that before because we needed 4 million jobs in construction. That was before COVID hit. We didn't have 4 million people to match up with 4 million jobs. Our unemployment was 2%. Now our unemployment is looking at, it might be 34% nationwide. What that is to Charlotte, probably between 20 and 25%, because we are, like Maddie was talking about, a little bit of a less recession centric community. We are a little more bubble proof on that based on the industries that are here, and construction will continue. But what's going to happen is, hopefully the stigma is less, so people will take these jobs and say, this is a great job to have. I'm grateful for this job and I know where it can take me if I keep learning. And that gives us the opportunity in the learning positions, or like for yourself, how can you train them digitally to take it next level into what is a new world for everyone? So I think it's just made it more socially acceptable in both the learning communities that used to be so protective of their terrestrial classrooms. Now we have a digital learning base that is acceptable. So where do we take that? And how do we train employees in that in any company? I know United Rentals is another one that's still hiring. I don't think they're on the call right now, but they have tremendous facilities for training. They have 9 facilities in Charlotte. I highly recommend you go to unitedrentals.com as well, because they are growing their base here for a headquarters. And they are one of the ones that is just bleeding edge on their technology. They do all VR training for their employees, and everything is digitally based. And they are a rentals company that does heavy equipment work. So that's where we see construction going. We will always have foundational elements of people working on roofs, people framing houses, people doing plumbing work and welding work. Those are the very, what I call future-proof trades. And that's what we train on. And once we can get back into a facility, we will continue training women on those. General contractor's license, that's another one. If you're looking to do anything right now, I highly, highly recommend in either North Carolina or South Carolina, go online. And I believe all in, it's going to cost $200 to do all the paperwork and get the books. And then it's digital training that you can do for your general contractor's license. That is incredibly versatile work. I know 5 or 6 different companies that would hire tomorrow with a GC license. So it's about, you're self-paced on that coursework. But I know in South Carolina, it's a little more lax than North Carolina in terms of the testing and then going straight to work with insurance or without insurance under someone else's banner. But the work is definitely needed right now. And I don't know, Maddie, are you working with GC work at all, general contractors?
We are, and I was actually going to speak to a couple of things that you just touched on. Yes, if anyone's doing anything right now, you mentioned training earlier and prereqs to getting onto construction sites and what people should know prior to going into commercial or industrial construction. That OSHA 10 is the gold standard going in. If you have that basic construction knowledge, we can put you on a site and feel confident that you're going to know what you're doing. So if anyone wants to go through, Goodwill has an amazing program, and it was so exciting to be able to walk through and see the hands-on work that they're able to do. That's so exciting to hear that they are now transitioning that to online. So I'm very excited to hear that. For us, we can start any person that has an OSHA 10 in an electrician, with one of our electricians as a helper, with one of our plumbers as a helper, with one of our welders as a helper. Someone has that basic knowledge of construction, they can go in and grab tools for these guys and help understand that will help them to understand how that trade works and builds them up. And I think I shot myself in the foot a little bit earlier. Our minimum pay is $13. We have welders that make upwards of $28 an hour and that are working overtime on top of that time and a half. So our median pay, I think right now for those lower skill positions, the cleaning, the stocking, also doing these guard work is around $15 an hour, I would say right now. But we have people that make well above that. So I don't want everyone to think that we're very low end pay wise, but I think that taking the time to do that training right now would be incredibly helpful for anyone who's wanting to get into the industry. The OSHA 30 is a lot of training, but the OSHA 10, to be able to get your foot in the door, is a great way to utilize your time right now.
Yeah, and that's definitely something you could take online, right?
Absolutely. There's courses online, and I think it's $25 to take. So.
Yeah. Another one that I hear from a lot of companies, one that I was just consulting with last month was forklift drivers. So I don't know if you're seeing that too, between CDL drivers and forklift drivers. If you go and do forklift training for a day, and I'm sure it has gone online since then, I know they were picking up people that were broom cleaning and shop sweeping and saying, let me train you on the forklift, which is totally against OSHA rules, but it's just happening in a lot of warehouses. So those are also people that are kind of naming their price right now. And it's really again, I look at it as cross-functional training. If you're a forklift driver today, you can be a site superintendent in 4 months, because it's just stuff that's good to know, because site superintendents jump on the forklift and move stuff all the time. But it's good base training to have that you're never going to leave. It actually makes you really marketable the farther you go in construction if you start out with a base of that.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned that United Rentals might not be on the call, but I know for a fact that they do forklift training hands-on in their facilities. I'm not sure how much that costs, but I know that those equipment sales and rentals places do offer those. And they're all over Charlotte. Like you said, they've expanded so much here in the area. So there's, I guarantee you, a facility that's close to you where you could go and do that hands-on training.
Yeah, and I'd say another resource too, just because we're doing 3D printing of face masks because we have 3D printers that we train girls on, and it's been a pivot just to help the community, and it's kind of gone gangbusters. So anyone who is servicing medical, so that goes more into the manufacturing side, which Charlotte has a nice base. We're a good hub of transportation, so it means things can move and change. So FedEx is still flying planes in and out of here. UPS is still flying planes. We have rail lines that are getting things up and down the Mid-Atlantic. So we're a middle city of the Mid-Atlantic. That is, we're not a port city. We're not a port town. That's Charleston for us. But we move a lot of the goods that go up and down the coastline of the United States. So the East Coast side. So anyone in manufacturing that is to healthcare right now, they're booming. I was talking to a plastic maker this morning, Piedmont Plastics up in Huntersville, and they round the clock, absolutely round the clock, because again, they're servicing face shields, other plastic protection for, there's a lot of stuff going on in the administration of like, well, there's enough, no, there's not, or who's, you know, what manufacturers are going to have to take this on. Most of these manufacturers are taking it on themselves. And so again, there's a ton of jobs in manufacturing that they also service the construction industry, such as the flooring companies, et cetera. But a lot of them are pivoting so that they can take advantage of keeping their employees by making the vertical market of who they're serving. Maybe it's not lumber today. Maybe they've moved that into 3D printing. But oh, by the way, just because they're moving into 3D printing doesn't mean that someday they're not going to 3D print houses. So they have a long game with this. But so manufacturing, I would be looking at that too. Someone who wants to stay in construction, I would be looking at some of those manufacturing jobs as well, because a lot of that base is still there. So like the forklift driving, the CDL driving, the plant managers, et cetera, like that's going to be cross-functional if they want to go find a different job in 2 years or even a year. You know, again, like this is a new normal, and we don't know how long this normal is going to be. That could be in 6 months, we're, you know, back to a regular world, or it could be a year, it could be 2 years, who knows. But it gives you a lot of opportunity. So that's kind of the bottom line on that. So look in manufacturing too, if you need help with that. I will continue to post a ton of resources as I hear them, articles, etc. There's a couple hashtags. I think it's hiring now on LinkedIn is one to, if you're looking for jobs, or I know there's a couple recruiters on the line here too. Hi, Astrid. Is hiring now. So if you go into any of the search terms on Instagram, on Facebook, really on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is every job right now. It used to be LinkedIn was like just the professional jobs, meaning kind of more office workers, management, etc. They've pivoted as well in this market to say, oh my goodness, so many people are looking for jobs. We've just got to be able to post them, anything and everything. Again, to the shipped.coms, which is SHIPT. They're another one that's a deliverable. Amazon, you know, anyone that's moving and shaking with goods in and out of Charlotte. But so it's hashtag hiring now. Put that in the search and you'll see every single company. I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn personally for any jobs, but especially the professional jobs. There's hiring freezes on a lot of those management level positions. I know in residential, I was talking to a recruiter yesterday who does a lot of the work with construction management, meaning like VP level and above. Those are definitely frozen. Those are not as essential right now. You know, when you get people into more of that freeze mentality, the upper echelon and layer, they can live without. They need the people at ground level, or they need the people at the middle management layer. So, you know, that might be a little more that if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'm a VP of sales and I'm looking for a job, I would say it's a gig economy for you right now. It's probably a longer game of getting that job again. And what could we do for you to stay consulting or doing something that's a pivot role that's going to pay for the family, for the bills, or to go into content creation of some form, or something that's online based. I know, you know, this is kind of a random one, but this came up yesterday for people that have been in management. Outschool.com is looking for people to be training. So it doesn't have to be teaching kids. There are all kinds of classes that you list what your competency is, whatever that is. I mean, Melody, you could be, hey, you know, I could be training like cleaning 401, you know, in terms of how to be a commercial cleaner, and I'm just making something up, but maybe that's a recruiting pipeline for you too. As you're teaching these classes, you get paid for it. It's upwards of like $25 an hour. They pay you for the people that come into the classroom. You come up with a curriculum that's pretty simple. So based on what is your skill set, you know, if I was in marketing, I could say, hey, interview interviewing tips for jobs, and it's outschool.com, and they're fairly new, but because of all of the kids that are online and now the parents that are online, some looking for jobs, some looking to kind of upgrade their skills, there's this new demand for people to take online classes. Just think about it, and that's why I say look online, because now think of yourself, there's not all these competing priorities anymore to take, if you do have kids, to take kids to soccer practice, or let's go out to dinner, or let's go to the movies. People are at home. So anything that you can give to someone online in terms of goods and services, you can either choose to monetize that, or it's a give to get so that you can build a relationship. So outschool.com is a kind of cool resource for that. Again, you don't have to be a teacher to be on that. So that's kind of a random one, but there's a lot of things like that too. Any other questions? Hang on, let me look at the Q&A. Are the engineering firms the one making the masks using 3D, or construction companies making them in-house? That's a great question. Right now, oh, that's awesome that your lab is making hand sanitizer. Right now, since the Defense Production Act has not been put into place, which is wartime kind of policy, I don't know if you've read up on that, but basically where manufacturers switch over to get money for producing said things. But right now, there's such a shortage of any of the equipment. I know there's a PPE drive, personal protective equipment, for Goodwill is putting it on with Lowe's. We are servicing that in terms of doing face shields right now, as well as we just prototyped the N95, which is the ones, the Filtrete looking mask that you see from 3M. Those are the ones that are in short supply. And really what we're seeing is that for medical offices. I am literally training people how to use 3D printers to go buy creating the citizen army of anyone can go buy a 3D printer on Amazon. It's an Ender 3. It's a really simple printer. They look really intimidating, they're not. And why we do it is we want to train kids on that so they can be 3D printing flower boxes and door, I cannot think of it, a doorknob. I'm staring at one, sorry. It's been a long day of Zoom calls. Faucets, things of that nature, because that's what's going to be in affordable housing in 5 years. So we want to start teaching those kids how to do that. It was an easy pivot for me to say, oh my goodness, the community needs us. So you're watching some companies do that and monetize it, but then right now I think nobody wants to see a healthcare worker sick. So it's hard to monetize that. It's more to say, hey, how can we pivot this, get supplies like Piedmont Plastic donated 20 sheets of 4x8 sheeting, which is going to make effectively, I think, 1,100 face shields for us because we're just sweat equity doing it ourselves. So I'm not sure if that really answers your questions. What we're seeing the strain on is the fact that there's still essential services, and those are the articles that you're seeing come up, is the people who have had to give up their masks to healthcare necessarily so now don't have them for their own services. So I read that about fire people, fire women and firemen, firemen. I don't know why I can't say like a gender non-specific, the fire department personnel, police department, construction workers, etc. So with such a strain on the supply of that, those are so desperately needed. So that's why I heard that come out of somebody this morning, like, well, there's 3 different people are doing big mass production of these N95s for Charlotte hospitals. And I said, well, it's not just the hospitals that need them. So in terms of long-term for that, I see that as an opportunity. I just told a company that I consult with that yesterday, they sell tools to a lot of these builders, and part of it was masks on their tool trucks. And they said, well, what should we do? And I said, you should buy a 3D printer and start printing masks, because I guarantee you in 6 months, you'll still be able to sell those and monetize those when, God hope, that we're back to a little bit more of a normal society of goods and receivables not having to be donated and things of that nature. Less of the strain, right? But the new normal is it could be produced in the United States. So we might not have to wait for it to come from overseas and to come into strain. So that's the opportunity for 3D printing. So if anybody's got a company that they're looking to capitalize on, hey, what's a long game solution, then my company could use this as a sales technique in the future. 3D printing, I won't shut up about it. I could tell you all about it. So I hope that answers your question. And I hope that makes us innovative in construction, because I could definitely see residential home builders or even commercial saying, hey, we've got 5 3D printers in the back, as long as it's OSHA approved and it is to the requirements of keeping people safe against the specific, silica if they're doing countertops, or cleaning agents, or whatever it is that they're trying to keep out of the respirator, paint, it's paint fumes. As long as that's safe, you can 3D print those yourself. And there's a supply chain in and of itself. So I could see that as an innovation in construction for sure. All right, I think there's one more, and we're right at 4 too. So, okay, good. All right, so this has been a long hour, meaning like I didn't expect it to really be an hour, but this could go on forever. If you all have anything, this is recorded, we'll post it to She Built the City on LinkedIn. If you're not following us there, it's just linkedin.com, I think, // She Built the City. We always have our dialogue for Women at Work Trade Circle there. Make sure you go and tag the Facebook page to like it, and we'll share future events there. But if you have a job, Melody, if you have openings and you're looking for people, post it there. Anyone else, if you have, Sherry, if you have people that end up, losing their jobs and you need to redirect them, put them to the website again, because we're looking to connect people more now than ever. So when we created Women at Work Trade Circle, this was to connect women into the trades, and now we want to keep people employed and then keep everyone in the trades moving. So hopefully that means 50-50 women, but again, we're looking to keep everybody healthy, well, and employed and feeding their families or feeding themselves, and hopefully moving forward with their industry and with going on into a company that they love. So if there's anything else we can do to help you, I posted my email. Reach out to me via email. Maddie, how can people reach you? It's myqlm.com, but can I type your email?
Absolutely, please. My email is mmoxley, MOXLEY, at mmoxley.com.
All right, so I just put that in. And then I know, Astrid, I'm gonna put you on here if you don't mind getting, Astrid's with Aerotech. So you're more construction management recruiting. Real quick, what's life like in terms of how you are placing and or what the companies are saying? I think you're on mute. Astrid, you there? Okay, she might have stepped away. I think you're off mute, but we can't hear you. All right, well, she recruits for construction management and the residential side, I know. So you can reach out to her as well. We can post her information. Thank you. Oh, she's here. Not sure why you can't hear me. Okay, so I'm going to type if you can hear me, anything specific from, should people reach out to you for professional jobs on the residential side? Yes, okay. So definitely reach out to Astrid. She's agarcial at aerotech.com for the folks that are on the call. So that's agarcial at aerotek.com. And I'm pretty sure you can also, can you go to the website and check out listings at Aerotech? Please feel to reach out. Happy to help. Resume tips and interview practice. Great. Thank you, Astrid. Super helpful. Okay, so this won't be the last one. We'll definitely have another catch up here, probably in April. We'll post it to the Facebook page and the LinkedIn page. Invite your friends. Invite anyone that you know that is looking for a job or internship this summer. I do know that everyone is still trying to staff for their internships, so they're very helpful to go forward and get people placed. Maddie, anything you got? Last chance?
No, thank you so much for having me on and inviting me to speak. I really appreciate it, and I'm very hopeful to see how everything moves forward and connecting with everyone who's on here and finding people new opportunities. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for your time. We'll post this recording. If anybody needs links or resources, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll see you next time. Have a good afternoon. Be safe.
Thank you.